He got TSDD. And I said, well, I have to tell you that TSDD is tough shit, don't drink. Ricky made one of Bill's week things up at the up in Vermont. He was a friend of Bill's. And Ricky for 17 years. And he had that shirt, TSDD.
All right, great show. Thank you. Thank you to the Summers family so much. George, I see George Jr. is here tonight. Welcome and thank you for coming out very, very much. You see a lot of memorabilia here. If you've ever been to the Summers home, it's like a museum. The car is down from Fitchburg.
Yes, it's in the museum in Fitchburg. If you do go up, it's at the Ron Bouchard Museum in Fitchburg. And it's there. And we brought it down to have here for tonight.
And the golf cart is here, which was driven for years and years. And it's now dedicated to both George and Ricky. And Mary tells me it's about to go through a bit of an overhaul.
Yes, because it's some help.
And Ricky
That was one of Ricky's projects.
fabricated that.
Yeah, Ricky got that for his father, so his father could go from the house to the garage in the golf cart. And he made that. That was one of Ricky's last things. But I tell everybody another very, very quick story is when Ricky, the day Ricky died, well, before Ricky died, I had gone, it was during COVID, and I had gone up and asked if I could get a rubber suit so that somebody could be with Ricky all the time. And they said, no, couldn't do that. So then I asked about bringing him home and having no, we're not at that stage. So on February 4th, I got a call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock telling me if myself, my daughter, and my daughter-in-law could be at St. Vincent's when the priest went in at 6 o'clock, that they would let us go in. So I'm on the way there, and his heart doctor called me, Dr. Harizzi, and I said, oh, I'm on my way there. He said, how many times have you been told you can't go in? And I said, I don't know, but I just got a call from somebody telling me. So he said, all right, I'll meet you there. We went up. We went in with the priest at 6 o'clock. They never made us leave. They never made us leave. We were there when he died. We stayed. They let us stay. They never come in and made us. But Ricky would come into my office every day, take his flip phone out, never say a name or a number. But he'd just dial it and say, 2-4, brother, 2-4, brother. That was their mantra in AA. And he'd say 2-4. When I looked up on the wall, when he died, it was 2-4. He died on 2-4.
Thank you. You know, I could say another story about the Summers family. It's kind of an outsider, you know, Garland on Christian Hill. Ran the hardware store. But I was on the fire department as early as 1978. And every year we had the best thing in August. And what was that? A clam bake. How many of you got a chance to go to the Upton clam bake?
Every year. All the time. Yeah.
It was fascinating. Well, one year we messed up after decades of successful clam bakes. We made a mistake. And we thought we had lost the bake, and we did. But every year, Tucker bought the first 50 tickets and handed them out to his workers and friends. And we're always there in case we got in trouble. And one year we got in trouble, and we were about to lose the entire bake. And Tucker walked over with a check and covered the entire thing, as if 300 people had attended the bake. So, we have some people who used to participate, go to Speedway events right over the hill in Westboro. I know there's a lot. I want this to be a free and open program. The first person I'd like to call on, I'm going to save one special person for a little bit, but this is a special person to me, a dear friend, Phil McClure. Is he here? I'm looking around the room. There he is. Captain Phil McClure, retired Upton Fire Department chaplain as well.
It's really very short. Yeah, I was part of the fire department when they had the bake that didn't work, and it took us a couple of years to figure out why that didn't work. And what it was, if you ever been to a clam bake, you got to dig a hole in the ground, you put some sand in it, and then you put a bunch of rocks in it. Then you put it in like at 6 o'clock in the morning, you build a big bonfire on it to get the rocks hot. Take that, clean that all off, then you put seaweed and the clams, and you cover it all up, and off it goes. Well, each year when we'd clean out last year's rocks and all that, because you had to get new rocks every year, the hole kept getting a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. We just didn't notice it, and it got deeper and deeper. Well, that year that it didn't work, the pit was so deep that the fire couldn't get the rocks hot. We didn't figure that out till the following year, but that's kind of what happened. So the clams they never cooked. They went bad, and it just took us a long time to figure out what the heck the problem was. But that's kind of what went wrong with that, because I was on the fire department for a bunch of years, and I did everything from, as a kid, helping park the cars out in the field to chairing it and doing chowder with Dickie Henderson. And all that kind of stuff. So we did the whole thing. But anyway, I'm just going to come up real quick, and I'm just going to kind of tell a little bit about Westboro Speedway through the eyes of a young boy growing up in Upton. My dad was the first one to introduce me to Westboro Speedway when I was just a kid, and he pointed out George Tucker Summers, car number 10. And the claim to fame with that car, and the family will vouch for this, was the GMC 6-cylinder engine in it, which just screamed when that out on that Westboro Speedway. And I can remember it sitting in the barn up on Main Street, on Mendon Street, when Tucker started racing in Seekonk. I didn't get to see him anymore, so I had to find another favorite driver, so to speak. So enter the Red and White Movers number 2 car. And that was driven by Pete Salvatore at the time. And the car was called the Crooked Deuce. And everything that I did, I tried to get the number 2, and it would be called the Crooked Deuce. And in fact, I showed a couple of pictures to some of the people tonight, but I made a replica buggy that we used to race out behind my house during the summer months with all my friends. And that's in storage up the road just a little bit. But I have a 1932 Deuce Coupe over in the VFW parking lot right now, and if you walked around and noticed it, but there's a car called the Crooked Deuce, and that is named after the car that Pete Salvatore used to drive. In fact, if you walk back over there, there's a picture of his car on the seat if you'd like to just check that out. But my Uncle Joe Ewing, he was from Medway at the time, and he got together with some of his friends, and it was racing at Westboro Speedway. And the only person that I remember was Jimmy Carlton Chilson. He was one of the crew members, and they raced in what was called the Bomber class way back then. They ran out of a gas station in Medway. I think it was a Richfield gas station, if I'm not mistaken, right on Route 109 in Medway. And I got to help work on the car occasionally, and that was quite the thrill for like a 10-year-old kid. I had to turn the car over when they're trying to set the gap on the set of points. You had to click it around so the points opened all the way. Then you'd measure it. Some of you old timers remember doing that kind of stuff. I'm seeing some head people are shaking. Yeah, I remember doing that stupid stuff. Years later, he got together with Elliot Bigelow and Johnny Evans, both from Upton here, and they successfully ran a car there for a few years. Elliot's son, I don't know if is David here tonight. Yep, there we go. And he can. I'll let him he'll fill in the details of what happened then. I know we're here to honor George Summers and the Westboro Racing Speedway, but for a short time, on Sunday afternoons, they had go-kart racing, at the track. And Upton had quite the group of guys racing go-karts there. People like Harry Damon, Herbie Erickson, his son Bumpy is in the back row over there hiding, Bobby Payne, Paul Crash Dean, and Cliffy Teachout, just to name a few. Some of those names I'm sure that you remember. But in short, the people from this area enjoyed a number of different events presented by the Westboro Speedway. There was racing, there were thrill shows, demolition derbies, I did some of those, professional racing and band concerts. So from this local kid, I'd like to just thank the Westboro Speedway for all the good times and the memories that they gave us. Thank you.
Is Pete Falcone here?
Yes.
Pete Falcone is here.
I'd like him to tell the story.
Yes, I'm going to call on Pete in just a minute, but first I'd like to call on David Bigelow. Would you like to say a few words, please? You'll see David right up here. Thank you. David Bigelow.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know or lost touch with me, I've been living in North Carolina recently, and there was a post on Facebook that somebody sent out that said I would be here. So I quickly booked a couple of flights for my wife and I and made it up. We just flew into Boston this afternoon and got here about half an hour ago. So anyways, thanks for that. Yeah. I know this is about the Summers family, and I do have some memories before Westboro Speedway and after and beyond. And I remember this kid used to draw pictures of the Wizard of Oz all the time when I was a young kid growing up. I know his name was George. I think he's here with us today. Is he here? I don't remember what grade was that, George. Do you remember? That was you, right? Kindergarten, yeah. Anyway, so I remember those pictures as a kid, just the memory stuck with me. And for some of you who didn't know, I managed the Easy Pass for 23 years all over the U.S., but I started in Auburn, Mass. here. And every time one of my managers was late for a meeting, I said, "Where you been?" She said, "Well, I was on the phone with Maggie Summers again. She's got problems with her trucks and her transponders." And, so Maggie was a real hero in the Easy Pass Service Center for a long time. And I never had the courage to tell her that I was managing it, but anyways, there you go. So it's probably a good thing, yeah, So anyway, sorry, Maggie, for all the aggravation that you had to go through.
Story about that in the number plate, H275.
Mm-hmm.
My father-in-law was the American League umpire. And every time he'd come to town to do a show, a game in Boston, a week in Boston, he would have to go to Rudy King at least 3 times because he got nailed for speeding, and Rudy would have to fix a ticket. So finally he kept saying, "Bill, I want to get you a plate." "No, I'm not going to be tied to any politicians or anything." "No, you're not putting any plate on." Well, finally Rudy King had it, and he didn't say anything to my father-in-law. And my father-in-law looks out the window one morning, and there's some registry guys putting a plate on his car, H275. He's coming down the highway, the Mass Pike, after the game that night, and a state trooper pulls up alongside him, and he said, "The governor wouldn't like to see that speedometer on that plate."
There's a lot of other stories we could tell about that, but we won't go there anyway, so. We were a little crazy with our vehicles here in this town. I remember Dee Aldrich, do you hear? Dee's over there. One day I was coming down the main street here in front of, I guess it was Country Super, is it still called that? I don't know, yeah. And I was in my car and I see this guy in a little blue MG coming the other way. And so I pulled over on the other side of the road, heading right towards him. So he pulled on my side of the road and we went by each other waving, back when there were not many cars on the road back then. Although we did do 80 miles an hour from Westboro Speedway every Saturday night coming home after the races. Right, Mary? Okay, so.
I was in that Corvette.
Anyways, the first race I ever won was a consolation race in a novice division. And the first person that came over and congratulated me was George Summers. he came over and he said, you know, you